I think sometimes it doesn't work and you just have to unplug it and plug it back in. It's automatically on, so the only time it's not is if you press it and the blank screen.
Sometimes you just need those. I'm kind of a fan.
Yeah. Spilled coffee all down my shirt this morning in the parking lot. So Heidi gave me this shirt to wear.
I like it. I think we have all done that.
I did it last.
Now it's Melissa's turn when she gets back. She better watch out because she doesn't know it.
Yeah.
How are you, Tom?
I am fabulous. Well, I understand this one, so let's see. Thank you.
Just put your phone there. You're all good.
Thank you.
It's time to do something different.
Is it Justine or Cassidy or Chris or?
It's Justine today.
Good morning. Happy Monday. How Good morning. Welcome. We're glad you're here with us today, Tuesday, May 26th, for our Administrative Matters meeting for the Board of County Commissioners for Larimer County. We are here in our hearing room at our Administrative Services Building. I ask that you join me by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Again, thank you for joining us. Welcome, and thanks for joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. I hope you all had a very lovely Memorial Day weekend, and I hope that you all Okay, sorry. Thank you for all standing and joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance, and welcome and to our Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County Administrative Matters meeting for this Tuesday, May 26th. May 26, 2026, and we hope that you all had a very lovely Memorial Day weekend, and you got to spend some wonderful time with family and friends, but also took a moment to reflect on the meaning of Memorial Day. I am Larimer County Commissioner Jody Shabbat-Nally, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners, joined on the dais by Commissioner Kristen Stevens and Commissioner John Kafalis. We're also joined today in supportive roles for the Board of County Commissioners for our Administrative Matters meeting with the clerk to the board from the Clerk and Recorder's Office, Diane Cheney. Good morning, Diane. We're also joined by our County Manager, Lorenda Volker. We have Tom Clayton from our Commissioner's Office and the Public Information Office, and Sarah Martin from the Commissioner's Office, who helps with so many things. Thank you all for being here today. We will now move on to public comment. I will see that no one is signed up, but I'll just offer it. Is there anyone in the room who would like to make public comment? Seeing none have indicated, I'll ask Sarah, is anyone online who would like to do public comment?
No, Commissioner.
Great. Thank you for checking on that. So now we'll move on to approval of the minutes. I will ask Commissioner Stevens to make that motion, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the week of May 18th, 2026.
Thank you for that motion. Any further deliberation or any concerns? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. Okay. we will now move on to our upcoming schedule review. We'll be reading two schedules because we won't be here next Tuesday, June 2nd for our Administrative Matters meeting. So bear with us as we read through two schedules. And Sarah, take it away. Thank you.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for June 1st through the 7th, 2026. On Monday, June 1st, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Colorado Counties, Inc. Summer Conference in Keystone. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Fort Collins Police Services Ribbon Cutting and Celebration event at 2221 South Timberline Road in Fort Collins. On Tuesday, June 2nd, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Colorado Counties, Inc. Summer Conference in Keystone. From 3:45 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the City of Fort Collins Pride Reception and Proclamation reading at City Hall at 300 LaPorte Avenue in Fort Collins. On Wednesday, June 3rd, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Colorado Counties, Inc. Summer Conference in Keystone. On Thursday, June 4th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will host a community conversation for the Wellington and Waverly community at Avuncular Bob's T-Bar Inn at 3803 West Cleveland Avenue in Wellington. Guest and topic will be announced prior to the meeting. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual statewide Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. From 9:45 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Weld Energy Center groundbreaking ceremony in Alt. From 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Active Issues and Policy Committee meeting. From 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Upper Front Range Transportation Planning Region meeting at the Weld County Administration Building at 1150 O Street in Greeley. From 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual Go NOCO 34 Transportation Management Organization Board meeting. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Planning Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at the Berthoud Town Hall at 807 Mountain Avenue in Berthoud or virtually via Microsoft Teams. On Friday, June 5th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the State Board of Human Services meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1575 Sherman Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. From 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Regional Air Quality Council Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1445 Market Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. From 8 a.m. on Saturday, June 6th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis may host story time at the Larimer County Farmers Market at 200 West Oak Street in Fort Collins. From 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens may attend the FOCO Pride Fest at Library Park at 207 Peterson Street in Fort Collins. And on Sunday, June 7th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Gates Family Foundation, Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And second schedule. This is the schedule for June 8th through June 14th, 2026. On Monday, June 8th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., the Commissioners will convene as the Board of Social Services in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Tuesday, June 9th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioners Kafalas and Stevens may attend the Housing Catalyst Village on Eastbrook groundbreaking event at 3333 Eastbrook Drive in Fort Collins. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Kafalas will attend the Environmental and Science Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Wednesday, June 10th, from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalas will attend the Workforce Development Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. On Thursday, June 11th, from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Board of Directors meeting at Innisphere Ventures at 320 Vine Drive in Fort Collins. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the virtual Fort Collins Urban Renewal Authority Finance Committee meeting. From 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioners Kafalas and Stevens will attend the Regional Elected Officials meeting at Mesh Lab at 4487 Highland Meadows in Parkway, Windsor. On Friday, June 12th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executive State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. On Saturday, June 13th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. From 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioners Kafalas and Stevens will attend the Poudre River Trail ribbon cutting ceremony at Timnath Community Park at 5500 Summerfields Parkway in Timnath. And on Sunday, June 14th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Chadwick McNally will attend the Harvard Kennedy School Senior Executives in State and Local Government Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Sarah. Those were a mouthful, and thanks for going through all those schedules. There's a lot happening in June. Colleagues, do you have any additions or changes? Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On Wednesday, June 3rd, from 6 to 7 p.m., we have the Ozone Exchange Town Hall. That is open to anyone who is interested in participating or learning more about our Ozone Exchange Conference. It's happening October 26th through 28th at the Ranch. It's sponsored by the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. So just want to invite folks to attend that if you want to, and I will certainly be in attendance, and as will North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization staff. And then on one more. On Wednesday, June 10th, from 2 to 3 p.m., I believe Commissioner Kafalas and I will both be at the Southeast Community Center groundbreaking. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kafalas.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Regarding the Wellington community conversation that is scheduled for June 4th, we need to have a conversation, get on the same page, because per guidance, I thought we shifted those to bi-monthly. Therefore, the next one wouldn't be till July. So let's have a conversation with our public affairs folks and make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, any other additions, changes? All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. Today's consent agenda has several items on it. I'll read those at a high level, and if you have more, you would like to have more details about any of those consent agenda items, you can go online to the Board of County Commissioners website at larimer.gov, and our emails and our agendas and details of this consent agenda are listed there. Our consent agendas consist of items of no perceived controversy and routine administrative actions such as abatements, agreements, deeds, final plats, liquor licenses, resolutions, and other matters previously reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners. Staff recommends approval of the consent agenda. A commissioner may request an item be pulled off the agenda, considered separately, and any items pulled off the agenda will be considered after the board takes action on the remainder of the consent agenda. I'm going to read through these quickly for our May 26, 2026 consent agenda. We have several agreements. The first is a contract amendment number 6 for 23 IBEH 174465, and this is with the Sheriff's Office, and it just extends a grant agreement between the county and the Colorado Department of Human Services Behavioral Health Administration, and this funds some amounts for substance abuse and mental health treatment for folks in our county jail. And then we have the Colorado Department, the second item, Department of Human Services Behavioral Health Administration, which funds our co-responder services program contract amendment number 6. This is actually for a statewide, our countywide, this is an amendment for the contract for our countywide crisis intervention services that actually is through our Longview Center, and so that's where that contract and it updates the program requirements and sets the budget for the year. The third one is the State of Colorado Department of Human Services contract, and this is the purpose of this contract, CRS 26-2-715. Requires the Colorado Department of Human Services and the county to enter into an annual performance contract that explains the county's duties and responsibilities in implementing the work program, and that goes through June 30th of 2027. We have a few appointments. The first is a recommended appointment or reappointment to the Flood Review Board beginning July 1st and going through June of 2029. And I want to thank Travis Ronseville, who is just an outstanding Flood Review Board member. Just really appreciate our conversation the other day. We have a appointment for the second item, recommend appointment to the Board of Health of Kale Flory, and that's on our full appointment that will go through 2020-31. We have a document, the next one is the recommended appointment to the Board of Adjustment. This is a full-term appointment for Laura Light that will go through June 30th, 2029. We have a recommended appointment for our fourth item to the Board of Adjustment for Shana Garcia and Tom Wood have been serving as alternates, and they are full-time appointments beginning July 2026 through June 30th, 2029. And then we have a recommended midterm appointment or as an alternate for Phillips and Filippo, and we appreciate his service on the board, and he is going to serve now as an alternate to support the Board of Adjustment. We have a deeds section. We have one deed of dedication, and this is acquisition of a right-of-way associated with road improvements to County Road 70, and this is perpetual with some landowners in Larimer County. We have a liquor license for special limit liquor license 6%. Athletes in Tandem Incorporated, and this is for the Timberview Trail Run in Bellevue, Colorado. We have several items in our miscellaneous section portion of the consent agenda. There are 24 stipulations as to 2025 tax year. I won't read through all of those. You're welcome to go check them out. And then we have our resolutions. We have a couple items there. Resolution supporting the disconnection of certain properties from the town of Timnath. The town of Timnath is disconnecting or de-annexing properties back into the county jurisdiction that are currently within town limits. And then we have the last item on our agenda, and the last item in our resolutions section is a resolution approving the town of Berthoud's request to waive the annexation impact report requirement for the Beefus Farm annexation. And this was something that the board had talked about in one of our public meetings, discussed earlier with staff. And this is a town-owned property, and the land use will remain unchanged and will not pose new impacts to the interests of the county, thus not requiring the impact review. That is the extent of our consent agenda. Commissioners, do you have any items you wish to pull? If not, then I ask that Commissioner Kefauver will make that motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Yes, I move to approve the consent agenda for May 26, 2026.
Thank you for that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. Okay. And now we will move on to Commissioner guests. And thank you, staff, for being here. Any Commissioner guests today? Nope. All right, let's move on to discussion items. We have two today. The first is a proclamation recognizing June 2026 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month. And the commissioners, this proclamation we started for the first time, the first one ever had for Larimer County in June of 2021. And so this is our 5th year having a Pride Proclamation, and I wanted to give that a shout out. That was something that we chose to do, so I wanted to thank all of our working collectively and our Community Advisory Board for looking over that proclamation after it was first written in 2021. And so I wanted to say 5 years, it's excited about that. And the Larimer County Commissioners would like to express to the LGBTQ plus community that you are valued and encourage you always to feel proud of who you are. So we have one member from our Community Advisory Board here, and I would offer Laura, if you'd like to come up, would you like to speak for a few words, and then we'll pause with the proclamation and take some pictures, and then we have one other discussion item. So welcome, Laura. If you'd introduce yourself, come to the podium. Thank you.
This is on. Hello, and thank you. I want to thank you for the 5th annual LGBTQ plus.
And would you identify yourself? I apologize. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Wanted to thank you for the 5th annual LGBTQ plus Pride Proclamation that you're making here today.
And Laura, could you state your full name for the record for the clerk? Thank you.
Laura Michelle McWaters. And as mentioned, I'm chair of the Community Advisory Board for the Larimer County Commissioners. Government proclamations in support of the LGBTQIA community are vital in these days of attacks. Federal attacks, some attacks by other state legislatures, and even weaponized religion. Proclamations warm the heart too, reminding us that we are not alone. We are here to remind everyone why Pride exists, and it is increasingly necessary in these days where we are once again being removed from records, visibility in public media and public life, and from legal protections. Some amazing people have reminded me that Pride is so much more than rainbows and parades. It is surviving hard things unbowed. It is loving yourself without apology. It is honoring those who paved the way, especially persons of color and transgender LGBTQI elders. It is protecting transgender youth now and creating community, fighting for equal rights, and living our lives authentically, beautifully. Pride is also knowing that you and your family and friends have a place in the future where they can fully belong, even if they are not out today. Pride is brought to you by passionate, dedicated, amazing, determined people fighting against laws about what clothing we could wear, who we could kiss, hold hands with or dance with, who we can have sex with, even in the privacy of our own homes, and who we can legally marry and legally call family. They fought for laws against discrimination and denying us services in housing and employment. And then they fought for all types of health care that would support us, that wouldn't try to fix us or actively harm us just in the name of fitting in. They fought for the right to choose our own names without limits based on our sex at birth. And they fought to stop courts from allowing gay and transgender panic defenses as an excuse for killing us. Pride is for our right to exist publicly, authentically, joyfully, live our lives as all people do, even when a vocal minority thinks their interpretation of their own religion or of certain laws should determine how everyone else lives. Pride is vital because there's somewhere out there, some people, some youths, believe there is something wrong with them, believes that the world will never get better or even leave them alone, believes that no one will ever love them, and tragically some believe that they are better off dead, and some people are okay with that. This is not okay. So I stand here and ask you all to please keep fighting and funding for an inclusive and equitable community for all. I ask you not to allow us or any community to be forced into the shadows, removed from records, removed from public life, and our names no longer, and our names and our community names no longer allowed to be mentioned, no matter what may come from the federal government, and even if they think it's from their religion. I ask you all not to be silent, to speak up and act out loudly. Make press releases. Place all your proclamations on the county homepage events section. Place a proclamation button on the county homepage linking it to every proclamation in its full text. Don't bury your support. As of yesterday, I found that only 7 of your Board of County Commissioner proclamations and 21 of your proclamations and resolutions were on the county website, and some were about parking and other such things. On this beginning of Pride Month, I urge the county commissioners and everyone in the county to be visibly proud of your recognition and support of all of our communities and of your proclamations too. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for your comments. We'll go ahead and I will have, what I'll do, commissioners, is have Commissioner Kafalis read the proclamation and make that motion, and then we'll pause for comments and questions during our deliberation before we take a vote. So Commissioner Kafalis, would you please read the proclamation and make that motion, please? Thank you.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Proclamation LGBTQ plus Pride Month, June 2026. Whereas the celebration of Pride Month originates from the June 28, 1969 police raid on the Stonewall Inn in New York City and the subsequent 5 days of spontaneous protests and confrontations by the LGBTQ plus community, and whereas this series of events sparked a nationwide movement that continues to inspire us to strive for our nation's promise of equality, inclusion, acceptance, and justice for everyone, without discrimination or harassment, and with recognition of the strength gained from diversity. And whereas 46 years later, on June 26, 2015, the United States Supreme Court ruled for marriage equality with same-gender couples having the same and equal rights to marriage and its benefits, commitments, and dignity. And in the 2020 the Supreme Court ruled that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act protects all employees against discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. And whereas all members of Larimer County community who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning intersex and asexual deserves to be welcomed, to be safe, and to live in our community without the threat of marginalization, erasure, exclusion, discrimination, or harassment. And whereas local governments are uniquely positioned to improve quality of life, sense of community and belonging, and equitable access for all, and whereas Larimer County supports its LGBTQ plus community and their legal rights, striving to create and support an inclusive and equitable community that honors diversity and promotes unity. And whereas we invite everyone in our community to celebrate the hard-fought gains of the LGBTQ plus community towards our common goals of equality, inclusion, representation, and belonging in our county and our nation, while also realizing that we all can and should do more to achieve all of these goals for everyone. And whereas the Larimer County Commissioners would like to express to the LGBTQ plus community, we value you, we recognize and celebrate your worth and contributions. We will continue to support and work with you and your community, and we encourage you to always feel proud of who you are. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Commissioners of Larimer County, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month in Larimer County, dated this 26th day of May, 2026. At this time, I will offer the motion. I move to approve the proclamation declaring June 2026 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that motion and reading the proclamation. We'll pause now for some deliberations for any questions or comments. I'll start with Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, I don't think I have any questions. I just want to thank you, Laura, for being here. I'm representing the board and representing LGBTQ plus community, which is a broad community, and I know you can't represent all of those folks, but I'm really grateful that you're here. I'm grateful for your leadership, both on the board and in our community. And really, when you were speaking, really appreciate your call to action, because the work isn't done. It is great that we are doing this proclamation, and clearly there's still work to be done, work that maybe we thought was done, and still needs to be done. Heard you very loud and clear about proclamations on the website, so we will have that conversation, and thank you for doing that. We need more than something about parking, although apparently we have something about parking on the website. But just appreciate your words. I will say that this board is committed to doing the work and making sure that names and the history aren't erased in our community, that we are, valuing LGBTQ plus people in our community, that we are doing what we can to make sure that our ordinances and regulations aren't discriminatory in any kind of way. But I think you're right about things being erased at the federal level, whether it's rights or your history, the history of LGBTQ plus people. And so I think that that's something that we need to be aware of and need to stand up to that kind of discrimination, harassment, anything that we see in our community and in our country that takes us in the wrong direction. Because, all movements have tried to, the arc of, justice bends, or the arc of, morality bends towards justice, but it sometimes takes a few steps back as well. And so I think that's what we've seen in the past couple of years. I think we need to work towards making sure that that doesn't happen. And so we appreciate your leadership again, and please let us know if there's other ways that we can, beyond, making sure the proclamations are on the website, that we can make sure that we are advocating and making sure that we have our community stays that we're valuing diversity and we're valuing everyone who lives in our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kafalas, comments or questions?
Yes, I have a couple of comments. I don't have any questions. First of all, I wish to echo what Commissioner Stevens said regarding the work that we have achieved, the work that is ahead of us. And I also want to do a really special shout out and acknowledgement of Laura McWaters. Your service to this community for a long time, whether it's through the Community Advisory Board or in so many other ways, is a model for all of us. And you have accomplished a lot at the local level, at the state level, with policy and and better understanding. So you merit a really wonderful shout out, and just want to express appreciation for who you are, and our friendship over the years, and the opportunities we have to work together to achieve more and more equality, inclusion, belonging, welcoming. Everyone is welcome in this community. So I wanted to acknowledge that. I think the proclamation really says it well. And also, once again, to your credit, not surprisingly, you provide us with tangible input regarding what we need to do to elevate the importance of the proclamations. They are mostly symbolic, but they are important. And if we can make sure that people can see these a lot easier, and looking at our county manager, and we'll work on figuring out a way to do that. So that's an example of good input, constructive input. That's all, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Gonzalez. Laura, I have a question, really quick, and I learned something today that I didn't know before, which I always love when I learn something new. I hope I do that every day of my life. Because when I was looking at the proclamation and doing some homework over the weekend, I thought there would be one theme for Pride Month for the whole country, but I learned that every community has their own theme, and I think that's cool because that's really kind of a reflection of the local residents and their community and what they want to support. Minnesota is their theme this year is Our Voices, Our Future. Stonewall Columbus, Until We are all free. Chicago is Free to be Proud, and Long Beach is Fearless and Free. And I believe Northern Colorado is Resilience. And so my question is that always, and also CSU's for their event at the Pride Resource Center is Live in Full Color, which I thought was very cute. And I was wondering, has that always been the way? Is every community has their own theme and their focus? And I don't know if you wouldn't mind, I'm just curious if that's always been, I hadn't really noticed that before, and I learned something new today.
Yeah. Yes, every Pride committee puts on their own theme, and the way to design each one varies by community. Most of them are put on by nonprofits, some of them by local government agencies. They all vary. I think this year there's somewhere in the order of 800 different Pride festivals going on in the country, scattered all over the place. And there's like a dozen in northern Colorado alone, almost every community. So, thanks.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think they're all wonderful, and I definitely appreciate the resilience for NOCO Northern Colorado, and then Live in Full Colors at CSU. That's very interesting. I want to thank you, Laura, for being here today. You've been extraordinary leader on our community advisory board, and also just I see you around the community everywhere, and you're always, and I echo the comments of my colleagues, but I do think you always bring some insightful comments and insightful feedback, and I appreciate your tireless work to uplift voices and make sure folks are heard and not forgotten or feel invisible. And you always advocate and work for everyone to feel a sense of belonging and inclusion, and making sure support stays constant. And as we said, celebrating the 5th year, this is pretty exciting that you recognize that as well. I think really these proclamations are a public, and again, as a board, and I'm not speaking for the board, but I feel my colleagues share this, is the proclamations aren't just to check a box. They're words that we thoughtfully work on together and try to make sure that they make a statement, but are also something that we're sharing with the community about values, and to get folks to think about this month, and maybe share some activities folks can participate. And issuing and approving this proclamation today and this morning is a vital step to ensuring our LGBTQ plus residents feel safe, seen, and valued, and that sense of belonging that is so important for every person in our community to feel. And true progress for our community going forward is, and for kind of healing and bringing these divides together really requires us to foster a community where every individual is treated with dignity and respect. And this proclamation, I think, celebrates the vibrant diversity that makes our Larimer County even stronger and more vibrant than it already is. And I think we have to actively stay advocating and working on that. It's not something that is a one and done. And we achieve this, we have to constantly nurture our community to make sure everyone feels safe and seen and that they belong here. And I think especially in these days and times, this proclamation and activities and proclamations, as you said, across this country, over 800, that's amazing. I think are very incredibly important for our youth. For us to stay in support of the community and send a powerful message to our young people of younger than me, they're validated, they're supported, and they are able to live their authentic selves and be in their community exactly as they are. So today we're celebrating love, diversity, and the courage it takes for any of us to live authentically. And I hope that we'll just continue on to build a welcoming, inclusive community for all. So thank you, Laura, for being here. There's a motion on the Lorenda, did you want to add anything before we take a vote?
I think a special thank you to Laura. She's one of the founding members of our Community Advisory Board. Not only are you a leader in the community, you help us lead better. And so thank you for always being honest, for pointing things out that we can do better. That is the point of this board, and thank you for that. This proclamation is an opportunity just to demonstrate publicly the board and the county's commitment to living authentically. And so I appreciate your edits to the document. It's improved over time, and you've been part of making it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorenda. I appreciate those comments. So there's a motion on the table. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That proclamation, Pat, is approved 3-0. We're going to pause a moment to take a photo, and then we'll join you momentarily. Thank you. Okay, we're back. Thank you for that moment for us to take a photo for our Pride Proclamation for June for LGBTQ plus Pride Month for 2026. And now we're moving on to our next discussion item, which is a resolution declaring fire restrictions on fires and combustible devices in Larimer County. And our Larimer County Sheriff, John Fain, is in the audience to bring us some information and have this discussion. So Sheriff Fain, take it away, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you stated, I'm John Fan, the Larimer County Sheriff. Good morning to yourself, the Board of County Commissioners, County Manager, and our overwhelming audience. It's good to see everybody. We're here to talk about fire restrictions. This is becoming a regular pattern because it's kind of a crazy summer, and I'm going to give you a whole lot of inconsistencies and talk about what it looks like. So just to follow our previous patterns with our restrictions, just to give you an overview of what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to tell you what the recommended restriction is immediately, and then go back and look at some of the data to support that decision. And of course, at the very end of it, we can ask questions, and you guys can deviate if you'd like in some fashion from that, or we can move forward with the motion. Lot of words. Here's the short version of the lot of words. It's the same exact. My recommendation is to stay where we are. So not going up and not going down. Currently, the highlighted yellow part would bring us back together for admin matters on Tuesday, July 21st of this year. So nothing changes. We'd come back and review in about 6 weeks is the current recommendation. So why is that happening? So thanks to my friend Gemini, the AI thing, I was able to create this slide. The rain gauge on your left represents the amount of moisture Fort Collins received from October 1 through April 30th, so the prior 7 months. The rain gauge on your right, the 3.64 inches, is the total amount of rainfall that we have received since May 1st of this year. So you can see we've reached about 150% of the preceding 7 months in moisture. Now, Fort Collins is not the only rain gauge throughout the county. We all know that. We have a very diverse and exciting county, but no matter what rain gauge I look at, whether it's Estes Park, whether it's Red Feather Lakes, whether it's Honholtz area, it all is reflective of this, just different amounts, but about 150% of our moisture from the previous 7 months, and that has changed our landscape a lot. To give you some comparisons, and there's a lot, I apologize, everybody says that PowerPoints with a lot of data are not easy to digest. I'm going to walk you through this because this is a lot of data and not a lot of pictures. So as we talked about, what you're going to see in the next couple of slides is each of the 3 elevation zones that we have here in Larimer County. The East Divide, which is above 9,000 feet, the foothills, 6,000, 9,000, and then the plains, which are below 6,000 feet. I'm going to give you a comparison between some data points that we discussed back on May 5th when we elevated the current fire restrictions, and do a comparison to what we have today when I looked at it last evening. I color coded just to make it a quick glance. So if it's a better posture for that data point, it's in green. If it's a worse posture, it's in red. So, and just to quickly run down, ERC is the energy release component. We talked about this several months ago when the first time we met, think about this as the number of charcoal briquettes that you have in your charcoal grill. You're going to get more heat if you have 30 charcoal briquettes as opposed to just 1 charcoal briquette in your grill. So that's what your energy release component is. Your SC is your spread component. So it's measured with grasses, and let's say if a grass ignites, how much grass in square feet will be burned in a period of time. And so we've gone from here in the East Divides 1.5 to 0.4. So the lower number here is better for us. Herb curing is basically the point, and this is a typical pattern. So it's basically how plants have reached maturity or perhaps are dying off. And so the lower the number we go in this, but again, you're going to see that seasonally, right? Our gardens are going to grow, so that number will go down. In the fall, the number will go back up because those plants are becoming dry and passing away. 1 hour fuel moistures, again, how much moisture is inside the plants. And remember, the 1 hour is like the grasses and the small duff. And then we go up to things about 3/8 of an inch, which is your 10 hour, all the way up to 1,000 hour fuel moistures, which are your logs, about 4 to 8 inches bigger or bigger. So the only negative that we're seeing, in the KVD is your drought index. So the only downturn we're actually seeing from where we were 3 weeks ago was the 1,000 hour fuel moistures. They've gotten 0.5% drier. Everything else has moved in the positive direction for us. The same holds true with the foothills elevation, the 6,000 and 9,000 foot. Everything in this that we measure here has moved in a positive direction since receiving the moisture that the county has since May 1st. And the plains, again, we have one negative, but interestingly enough, it's in the 1 hour fuel moistures. And this is because these are the most responsive to what we get. And so even the few dry days we had over the weekend resulted, it's just like if you remember the picture I showed you a month ago, it's like when you're hiking and you get thirsty, if you jump in the shower, it's not as good for your body as if you drink the water. So that's what these plants are reflecting. You've probably seen this in the news. This is our drought index. So if you look at where we were as a state and where Larimer County was 3 weeks ago, we're in the 2 top categories. But since the moisture we've received, we've come down 2 orders of degrees. And so, yes, drought still exists. Yes, it's still dry, which is one of the reasons why I'm not recommending a change currently, but we are significantly better now than where we were 3 weeks ago. So here's your 30-day forecast. And what you're going to see in the 30-day forecast is I don't see a lot of uncertainty, but as we talked about, and we'll get a little bit more in depth here with 3-month forecasts as well. But 30 days, the National Weather Service and NOAA anticipates that we are going to be above average in our temperatures, but we're also going to be above average in our moisture content as well. This pattern is reflected also in the 3-month forecast for our temperatures. Again, expected over that 3-month period of May, June, and July to be excuse me, let me back up a little bit. So the one on your left, again, is comparison to where we were 3 weeks ago. The one on the right is where we are currently. Things haven't changed a whole lot. We are still going to anticipate it to be drier. It hasn't gotten significantly worse, hasn't gotten significantly better. And the same thing for moisture. So whereas a month ago, we were actually anticipated to be below in northern Colorado our seasonal moisture content for May, June, and July. Now for June, July, and August, they anticipate that we may be higher. Now the danger is, as they told us, is because it's coming in from the southwest, is that the moisture drops on the west side of the divide, and what we get is the leftover dry lightning. So far, we're not seeing that. Now, it's not all rosy pictures. Right? The Interagency Fire Council still thinks that we have potential for June and July to be areas of large fires starting. So we are still dry, even though I want to make sure that we moderate the good news. This is good news. We're moving in the right direction with the moisture that we are getting. However, we've been dry for a long time. Even with the excess moisture we've received in May, it's not going to fix that overnight. Here's a weather pattern, and this is kind of what we're anticipating at least for the next couple of weeks. Hot weather, but interspersed with periods of moisture. Now, whether that 30% moisture or that 40% moisture falls where we need it to fall, it's still better than where we were because it's going to drive relative humidities at some points. As long as we don't get the dry lightnings, we'll be in a better spot. So, unsettled weather patterns, at least for the next couple of weeks. The forecast is still hotter temperatures, but perhaps with more moisture. So that's why I'm recommending today that we just kind of wait and see where we're going to stay. Don't increase the fire restrictions. No, let's not go back to the point where it's unrestricted except with the very minor details, and come back in a couple of weeks. Now, one of the things we can talk about is what does the July 4th look like? And if you want to discuss that, I know I'm very appreciative for Bill Rousseau, our county attorney, who I know is in the audience. He's worked with me on several emails back and forth about what does that look like. And and he can explain it far better. There are some things that if we start talking about fireworks, even the permissible ones, that other data findings that by law that we have to include in this, and we can walk through that. So one of the things that you may want to consider is if you're still, again, I can't give you a good idea. We could have this 1 week of unsettled weather with moisture in the afternoon, and then we could go right back up to hot, dry, gusty days. Or we can continue with that weather pattern. I don't know. So if you want to take a look at this again before July 21st in anticipation for the 4th of July, all of this is your option, but that's one option particularly. Same restrictions as before, our exemptions. And I need to come up, thankfully I haven't had any new pictures to put up there because we haven't had any new fires since then. So I'm very fortunate for that. Questions?
Thank you, Sheriff Gonzalez. I have some questions. We'll start with Commissioner Gonzalez first.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much, Sheriff Bain. One question I have is regarding, you mentioned gusty days. Do you have any uh, projections or forecasts for red flag warnings? I mean, we've had a significant number of red flag warnings days since January. Can you speak to that, sir?
We have. I mean, we've already broken the year-to-date average by, we've far exceeded that, and then we're going to have some more. Matter of fact, some of the things I looked at, they don't go out quite as far, excuse my English, as the moisture predictions do, but we are anticipated to have at least probably another red flag later this week.
Thank you. May I ask one more? Thanks.
Of course.
I have another question. I think that's all. And that is, I'm assuming that the recommended fire restrictions, which are to continue what we have in place currently, would apply to all of the 3 elevation zones. And related to that question, campfires are included here. How do our proposed fire restrictions intersect or integrate with the U.S. Forest Service, for example, and other jurisdictions?
And that's an excellent question. So a lot of the communities have followed ours. The Forest Service, and this is not casting aspersions, we communicate with them on a routine basis. They have been great partners in the fires that we have had. Because it's a higher elevation and they have received more moisture, they're still in what they would call their stage 1, which is a lower level of fire restriction than what we have. You're welcome.
Commissioner Stevens, any questions?
I do. So in this current iteration, we are not looking to ban fireworks, or that's not necessarily recommended.
That is not my recommendation currently.
Okay. But it is something we can revisit at before July, and I guess, did you say that the attorney would have some comments on sort of
he'd
what
probably be the most,
what would?
yes.
Yeah, I just would be interested in hearing that, just because in case we do things shift, or those 30%, 30% is not necessarily a high chance. Things could shift pretty dramatically in the matter of a couple weeks. What does that look like, and what would it look like for us if we wanted to contemplate banning some kind of fireworks, whether that's the sort of commercial ones for communities, or the ones that are sold like sparklers and such?
You bet. Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Rasu with the Larimer County Attorney's Office. So the county's ordinance that authorizes you all to implement these restrictions, it authorizes you to restrict the use, sale, and or possession of fireworks. And our ordinance defines fireworks. It matches the state definition of fireworks. There are certain permissible types of fireworks. And then there are other types of fireworks that are illegal statewide. So the county's current ordinance allows you to restrict permissible fireworks, and again, either the use, sale, and or possession. In order to implement those restrictions, if it's during the time frame of May 31st to July 5th, the restrictions must specify expressly that the restriction applies to fireworks during that time window. The only other requirement is that you find a high danger of fire risk. That's the same finding that you have to make to restrict other types of fire. So open fires, that's the same finding. And it has to be based on competent evidence, which is what the sheriff presented you with. With the fireworks, that finding of high fire danger needs to be made expressly. So it needs to be in writing in the resolution. We do that anyway for any type of restrictions, even when it's not fireworks. So really the only additional requirement would be to include a specific reference if the firework restrictions are going to apply during that window from May 31st to July 5th. You can come back at any point in time between now and July 21st. If the conditions change, I'm sure the sheriff would be the first person in here asking you to consider additional restrictions. That can be done at any time. at any public meeting.
But the evidence would have to be presented, and clearly the evidence isn't necessarily showing that at this time. Is that what we're kind of?
It's the same standard. So a showing of high fire danger has to be made to restrict any type of fire, whether it's fireworks or campfires or anything else. So the same standard that you're applying today in considering the open fire restrictions, that's the exact same standard that applies to restricting fireworks. So it's not an elevated standard for fireworks. It's more of there are additional procedural steps when you include fireworks.
Thank you. And you said that could be done at any time. So while the window is May 31st through July 5th, that would have to be explicitly called out. We could on June 15th restrict them at that point, and people would have to stop maybe selling them at the roadside stands, and any kind of communities within our jurisdiction would have to cancel maybe a fireworks display or something like that. Is that correct?
Correct. You could do it in the middle of that window of time if the conditions warranted it. The other thing I'll point out too is that our ordinance defines fireworks very broadly, and that includes public display of fireworks. You could, if you wanted, exclude or exempt public firework displays from the prohibition if you wanted to. Public firework, the definition of public firework displays in our ordinance requires a qualified operator in pyrotechnics that is compliant with the International Fire Code and also is compliant with any restrictions that are imposed by the local fire regulating authority. So if it's within a fire district, the fire district could impose requirements or limitations on those public firework displays. If it's outside of a fire district, then the sheriff could impose limitations or restrictions as well. So if you were to restrict fireworks, I would recommend that you're specific about whether it applies to personal use of fireworks or public displays, both or either.
Great, thank you. I guess I'll just say, Madam Chair, that for me, I'm supportive of what's before us today, and also, and knowing that the sheriff would come before us if he sees drastic changes where we want to implement even, stronger restrictions, then I would be open to that as well. So thank you.
Is that all you have, Commissioner Stevens?
That is all I have. Thank you.
Okay. So I have some questions and comments. First, I just want to make sure the public is clear, and maybe I need to make sure I'm clear,
Certainly.
that Colorado enforces a statewide ban on any fireworks that explode, fragment, or leave the ground, like bottle rockets and Roman candles and things, and sometimes and frequently this happens, because I did look up who has some bans or banning fireworks, but we can have stricter bans, as you all just said. And I know that would be like sparklers, fountains, and spinners, which, we all remember those from our childhood. And I know Fort Collins doesn't have them illegal at all in the city ordinances. And so that's my second question there. And Denver had banned all fireworks, and in Colorado Springs have certainly not allowed certain fireworks that require flame to start or fuse. So I see in other communities, so that's my third. So those are two questions first. I want to be clear on what is, so people understand there's still a statewide restriction, and then there's what we can do. And in other cities, are they walking those back, or are they currently holding those?
No, and that's a great question. You're seeing a mixed bag. So the fireworks, you're right. It was interesting when we did our first round of this. This is now our third round. Some of the comments I received on social media is like, what about fireworks? How come you didn't say fireworks are illegal? Now, I'm not sure, because in my mind, fireworks are always illegal, right? There is a state restriction. If it leaves the ground or it goes bang, they are illegal in the state of Colorado. So when we talk about fireworks and fire restrictions for us, we were talking about the ones that are, as our county attorney talked about, are permissible by state laws. The ones that you spoke about, Madam Chair, right? The snakes, the sparklers, the fountains, the spinners, the smoke bombs, those kinds of things. So those are the ones that if we restrict, we would restrict the permissible under Colorado statute already. Everything else, the mortars, all those other things, they are illegal all the time, period. So, communities, you're absolutely right. So it's a hodgepodge because some communities have canceled their community-sponsored fireworks displays for the 4th of July, and yet and some communities haven't. Last night it was on the news that Loveland is planning they haven't had one for a couple of years, and they're moving forward with theirs. And so every community gets to make that determination, especially it's a hard, because it's 250, 150 for us, right? And so that plays into some of the decisions. Some places it's easier to do because they're shooting over water versus shooting over land. So there's a lot that goes into that, but there isn't a consistency amongst our communities at this point. Some, like I said, some are pulling back from the community displays, some are restricting even the permissible fireworks. Some of them are silent on their permissible fireworks and moving forward with the community displays.
Thank you. I just want to make sure people are clear on that. So we're not saying this is already is a ban, and these are just a small group that would be allowed. And I know you had some concerns about sparklers and other things like that. And so, and I also want to remind everyone there is always lots of injuries every year from just those sparklers and all those things from an emergency room. So please take care of it no matter what. But I have, every year I live unincorporated Larimer County and outside city limits. And every year there is, it's hard to find where all those are, but if folks are hearing them or they're going off and they're leaving the ground, all that, which I would anticipate that will be another thing because folks maybe decide not to follow the law. So I'm wondering how they can report those so they don't overwhelm 911.
Right. Well, I would never, unless it starts a fire, I would never call 911 for fireworks, right? Call our non-emergency number, 970-416-1985. Not quite the year I graduated, but close. So that's what I would do. There's multiple ways of doing it. I know the city of Fort Collins for several years, I don't know if they're doing it this year or not, but they had a website you could report fireworks and it would populate and the officers would look at that. Loveland has a different method, and so there's a whole host of ways of reporting that. But find your local, I would do the non-emergency number again unless somebody is injured or it starts a fire and then call 911.
Okay, thank you. I want to go back to real quick, just discussion of, yes, it's great. Of course we want to see some changes in the moisture content. And it was fascinating to me as I was up hiking in the Boulder County side of Rocky Mountain National Park yesterday. I got pelted with hail and snow pellets. As I got near the top, I had come running, literally trail run back down, and pouring rain, soaked to the bone. Even got my raincoat on finally, but that was too late. But as I drove into the Larimer County side, all of a sudden it's not a drop of moisture, dry as a bone, and just dry. So those 1,000-hour fuels, those have been really disconcerting to me because that tells the story of the drought, that we've really dried things out. And I think it would take consistent, 2 to 3 inches to get those ever back into an area where we would feel like those are not extreme danger, because they were off the charts last time I was here talking to you about in April. So, and with the record number of red flag days, which I think it's over 27, 25 now.
And I don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah, but April was 19. So, we have some more precipitation, but the heat is going to dry things out, and then just a little bit of wind and these more red flag days. Those conditions, my question is, do you feel those conditions could change after a couple of really high wind, dry, hot days? Those really could degrade those gains from this, what did you say, 3 inches of water?
Oh, absolutely. Very, very quickly as well, right? And it all depends, like that last, and I just cut that this morning, the weather forecast from one of our local news channels in Denver. If we get the 30%, if that 30% ends up, instead of pelting a hiker in Boulder County, pelts a hiker in Larimer County, that's to our advantage. If If we don't get any of that, we're the 70% of the state that stays dry, or 70% of the time it stays dry. It doesn't help us at all, and that's why there's so much uncertainty built around this. But if we receive none of that moisture, we continue to stay with those elevated temperatures, even without the red flag days, it's going to dry things out back to the point where we made the decision to elevate them in the first place.
I'll just state I was really struggling with, allowing any kind of fireworks at all, because I just feel like in this drought, and even with this extra rain, which what a godsend, what a blessing to have all this moisture. And we had snow in May, and Trail Ridge is still closed, hasn't opened up yet, which is great, right? That's how it was normally. But I still wonder, a couple of days and it just takes once. And we're going into, like you said, the 250, 150, and a lot of folks are going to want to be celebrating. And hopefully they'll all take a sense of caution, because we all need to have a shared responsibility, I think, to not do harm to our neighbors by maybe thinking they have it covered. But I think we've all seen the videos on TV where even the front yards and driveways, things go off. So I appreciate your recommendations, and that you have the latest data from this morning, and also looking at coming back whenever we need to. And I still have, I'll be honest, I still have a lot of trepidation and wariness about not following Fort Collins and Colorado Springs and some of these others, just to get through this season without mega fire, some other fires starting. So they all cost us money in the long run, and they cause property damage and lots of other things. So I will defer to your recommendation, Sheriff, but I do so reluctantly, just to be honest. And then not because of you. I know you're just reading the data and you're making that recommendation, but I still feel a little wary about this as we get closer. So I do thank you for keeping a really close eye on it, and coming back as soon as you feel like it's time to think about something different. So that website and the dashboard and all those things, those are easily found, accessible for the public. And would you mind sharing that website and where they can find more details? I know it's already been out there, but in case people have more questions, or where that dashboard is, can you share that again, please?
So it's larimer.gov/AEGIS, AEGIS, is where the community can find where the fire restrictions are. The data points I gave you are not on a publicly accessible website. It's what our emergency service team uses. That's on a totally different website. But
Okay.
the one for the community, to look where the restrictions are, you can put your address in. It's irrelevant at this point, since making the assumption that you all will enact for all elevation points in our county. But should you not at some point, people can put their address in and find out what elevation zones they're even at. So that's the best place for them to go. AEGIS, AEGIS.
Thank you. I go there often and show people that. So thank you for that. Any further comments or questions? Okay, I want to thank you for the partnership.
Of course.
And the communication, and also be here so the public can hear us have this discussion. And I encourage folks to reach out to all of us, including you, if they have further questions and concerns. So I will ask, unless my colleagues have anything they'd like to amend or change, since our county attorney is in the audience, then I guess I'll ask Commissioner Kafas to read the motion, and we'll move forward with what was presented this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sheriff Fay. And I support the resolution before us, especially in light of what was explained to us, that if indeed conditions change dramatically, we can reconvene and look at if there are any needs for changes. With that said, I move to approve the resolution declaring restrictions on fires and combustible devices in Larimer County effective from 12 a.m. May 27, 2026 through 11:59 p.m. July 1st, July 21st, 2026.
Thank you for that motion. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes 3-0. We're going to thank you both, County Attorney and Sheriff Fan, for being here today. Important and difficult conversations to have. We're trying to make sure we're doing the right thing. So thank you very much to both of you. Okay, so we're going to move on now to our county manager update. Miranda, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I want to start out by thanking the Poudre School District for rescheduling a meeting we had to cancel because of a snow day, ironically, a couple of weeks ago. So the county, the city of Fort Collins, and the school district meet together to discuss issues of importance to each of these communities. And the school closure discussion continued. They have been very open with this group about how they're doing their outreach and what they might do better. And so just a special shout out to them. Commissioner Kafalis and I attended that meeting. We actually hosted the meeting this time around, and it was as open as it's always been. They know that is not a perfect process, but it is. They're working really hard to listen to the community, and that's important. I also met with Wellington Town Manager Patty Garcia last week and Fort Collins Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Ann Hutchinson. So thank you to both of those women for meeting with us and working to coordinate our activities with their activities. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda. Commissioner Stevens, do you have any things you'd like to share for activity reports?
Most of my meetings were pretty, I wouldn't say non-eventful, but I would say that there wasn't a lot to come out of them, so I will forego my presentation for this morning. Okay,
thank you. Commissioner Kafalis has left the meeting early, so I will go ahead and move on. I do have a few things I'd like to share. I was very thrilled and thankful I could get a quick preview of the River Trail with staff, and we walked from the River Bluffs, Larimer County open space, and got to see some of the fencing and things that we had discussed here publicly about the changes to that, and just, again, really thankful that our staff and landowners and our partners, especially for that last section with Timnath and us, it was instrumental and innovative to getting this accomplished. And I want to just thank everyone, including Rusty and Justin from our staff, and Dalen and Megan and Leslie. It took a village, it took a whole community on two sides of a county line, and lots of work over decades. And I just think it's phenomenal. And I'm sure I've already seen some folks commenting online just how much they've ridden and how many miles they've done on it. So it's pretty exciting to see that. I had my NACO, National Association of Counties Environment, Energy, and Land Use May Committee meeting, and it was very interesting with that, and along with my Rural Action Caucus and Mid-Side Caucus meetings the next day, a lot of conversations over rural issues and maternal health care, and how hospitals in rural areas are shutting down, and there's a lot of lack of access to care and transportation, and also just services. And I'm hoping that in Larimer County we can really take a lot of focus on not allowing folks losing services in healthcare. I'm sure we're all going to be taking care of watching that. And it was some more discussion about data centers, again, from the Environment, Energy, and Land Use. And Oklahoma was presenting on their data centers, because some of them are allowing nuclear power to run those. And that was an interesting discussion. So I still kind of have concerns and comments and questions about that, but it's always great to hear other people's perspectives and how other counties are doing things. But I wanted to just, I've been attending meetings and learning about that for almost a year now from other counties, and trying to listen to lessons learned, and as we are we're all trying to learn about those as fast as they're moving. I attended the One Voice for Housing, which is about a lot of nonprofits that do, like Housing Catalyst and Neighbor to Neighbor, and some other groups met for just discussing ballot initiatives that have been successful. They had wanted to hear about the Estes Park lodging tax that was added, that was focused on workforce housing, and childcare, and I was, big stakeholder on that and big proponent of that, and that was done with the new law that we're able to do that. So we're sharing how ballot issues work and how we need to communicate to the community. And I was going to let my colleagues know that I would like to invite, I was at it was a presentation at the Visit Estes Park meeting, which was Thursday last week, where we got a lot of great information, also an update on the child care and some of the progress, and they have an annual report. And I thought maybe that would be nice for the commissioners to hear. And so I have invited them for the end of June, potentially, because they're actually now working in the 2027 work plan, or the going forward, and I think that might be something interesting and something that maybe my colleagues would like to learn more about. So I'm going to try to invite them as my guests at the end of June. So working on that. So just wanted to give you all a heads up that will be probably one of my guests when I, like I said, at the end of June. So that was really exciting to hear about those things, and also about some of the land use things that in Visit Estes Park, the Estes Park was changing, and the bylaws, we just talked about some of those things, and we broke into some, with Visit Estes Park, some subcommittees. Bylaws exist, but they thought they put us on committees, but we don't really know if we're going to be doing anything, but they assigned us to the smaller board into committees, so hopefully those won't add too much time. I did get a chance to speak to the Estes Valley Board of Realtors that was asked to go early last week, and I shared a lot of information that a lot of them didn't know. I think they were like, wow, I didn't know that. Wow, I didn't know that. And now they want all this information back, so I'm going to have to work on that back to them. And that was a very powerful morning, and appreciate the invitation. We had our some CCAT meetings, which is still tidying up and getting ready for the next session and how we're going to really try to focus our efforts. I met with the state forester again about the mountain pine. Well, we didn't talk about pine beetle, but just forest in general, and just the work of the State Forest Service as the nursery is getting closer to being done, and the importance of that. And then, like I said, I had the mid-size county and rural action committee meeting, which is interesting. They both had the same issues, the same almost presentations, different presenters, but the same issues. And I think that sounds is a testament to how that's so linked in with all of those rural healthcare and access and maternal health and more. Great lunch with the Estes Mayor and the Rocky Mountain Superintendent. We're talking about some things about hardening infrastructure around Estes, Rocky Mountain National Park and things, and how I can help advocate on the Grand County side and our side, and what those projects look like. There's some concerns, and also just working on some other activities as Rocky Mountain National Park is taking some bold steps to, since they lost some workforce housing during the East Troublesome fire, they're trying to increase some of that for their workforce and seasonals, because it's really hard for the rangers and the seasonal workers to find any housing. And so I really want to applaud their steps to getting some of that seasonal housing in place. We had our Visit Estes Park directors meeting, just some really good numbers. We're doing kind of a vision. I'm going to miss it, but it's very aligned with some of, I think, our values and my values, and I'm going to catch up when I get back. But really working on our sustainable tourism and sustainable stewardship pieces of that plan, which will come before the board in the long run. Really excited. The Land Stewardship Advisory Committee meets quarterly. A really good conversation, and still working on some of the new plans I did bring up. They did share the mountain pine beetle plan, and I've had some questions about that, because really we're getting a period of time where the beetles are going to be coming out and flying, and treatments should be putting on now and not in July. And I had some wondering about whether we need to kind of be moving that up, be a little more aggressive. We not have as bad of an outbreak as Jefferson County, but I want to be as prudent and upstream as we can be. And then shout out to all staff, especially Road and Bridge, Fleet Services, Leslie Ellis, and all the directors. Went to the Larimer Unlocked, which was Road and Bridge, and they brought all the equipment, pulled it up behind the garage door so people could experience that. very large crowd, had a waiting list, and the staff did a phenomenal job. Thank you for letting me speak. I saw some slides I hadn't seen before. I took some pictures, some great data, and I just want to shout out to all of them what a tremendous exemplary job they did. And I want to make sure the public knows those Larimer and Locks and Larimer 101, everyone raved about what a great chance it was to ask questions, and everyone was thrilled with that. Special event, downtown Estes, but I was asked to join Mayor Hall. There was a flag topping event, the carousel that's going in next to the chocolate factory on the west end of downtown, and that drive up towards more of the Fall River entrance. We planted a flag on Saturday. I strapped in with the mayor into a construction bucket attached to a crane, and right when we got up to the top, the wind started. But we were in good shape and safe, and I appreciate all the things to do that. There's some youth art programs and some connections with the carousel and some major national corporate sponsors, and there's so much that has changed since the chocolate factory opened. There's so much to do for kids. They gave away free ice cream for any kids around there for an hour or two during that, and I won't soon forget the mayor dressed up as Willy Wonka. So in saying so, that was I was really. You have to have fun sometimes. It was fun to laugh and hear him sing, and then him and his wife and others did a free concert for a few hours over at Elk Meadows, and it was well received. Commissioner Foss and I went to the Veterans Plaza Memorial Day ceremony, which is always a very important and reflective event at the Veterans Plaza of Northern Colorado. There is, I don't know if folks know, that 200 soils from different battlefields around the world, from World War II and Vietnam, have been added to that flower garden. And now there's over 211 or 212 soils in there, because they brought 11 or 12 soils from American Revolution. Since it's the 250, 150, they added soils from 11 different battlefields and sites from the American Revolutionary War, which I thought was very appropriate. And our own Lee Cooper from Veteran Services led and read that part of the ceremony, and I want to thank him for his work, and he did a phenomenal job. And thank you to the leadership and the sponsors in the city of Fort Collins for supporting that Veterans Day Plaza. And then we all were there yesterday morning as a board, and the sheriff and the clerk and the treasurer, as we dedicated the sign on Highway 34. That was a unanimous resolution out of the Senate to honor sign dedication to Captain Jack Thurman, who was at Iwo Jima and part of that campaign, and was featured in the very famous sign Gung Ho. And you can see that we have a plaque and dedication and historical information in our 200 Peridot Larimer County campus. So if you're interested in that, there was an article in the paper. It was a very uplifting morning, and thanks to his daughter Karen for her tireless advocacy and efforts in that case. So with that, that's all I wanted to share, but I want to make sure staff or the public know, pretty active and pretty busy over Memorial Day weekend. It's very important, and there was lots of other activities I went to, but I won't name them all. It's a very busy weekend, but important to remember what Memorial Day is all about. So with that, at 10:26, we are adjourned. I hope you have a great day.